This is a Hot Pie Original.
2021 Nobel Prize is not going to Donald Trump, shockingly, although he came out this past weekend and said that, I don't know that he was that wrong. He said something like 1 million people would have died if it weren't for him. That was Trump speak for, hey, the vaccine was created on my watch, which is true. I mean, it really is. If he wasn't such a tool, you might be able to make a pretty compelling argument. But he said 1 million people have died. So he wanted the Nobel Prize. He's probably campaigning for the Nobel Prize, but he's not going to get the Nobel Prize. Anthony Fauci is not going to get the Nobel Prize. The scientists at Moderna are no longer going to get the Nobel Prize. The scientists at Pfizer are no longer going to get the Nobel Prize. Johnson & Johnson, blah, 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 blah. The Nobel Prize goes to, and I don't know who did this, so I'm just going to make it up and I'll say Texas State University. But we do know it is significant. We do know it's important, and this is your Nobel Prize winner for 2021. Somebody has decided to study dating app profile photos with cats. I mean, there it is. There's a man, windblown look with a cat. If you're a cat person, I love animals. I'm not necessarily a cat person, but whatever. So this is the Nobel Prize. If you've used a dating app, it says, you'll know the importance of choosing good profile pics. The photos don't just relay attractiveness. A recent study suggested that 43% of people think they can get a sense of someone's personality by their picture. You might guess that someone who has included a photo of themselves hiking is an outdoorsy type person. By the way, I assume you're acting like you're a hiking person. I assume you've never done that. You just went to REI that afternoon and bought some stuff. But whatever. But as scientists who study human interactions, the scientists wanted to know what this meant for pet owners. In particular, male cat owners. If your guy owns a cat, what kind of effect does it have on suitors? No one ever uses that word. If you post a picture posing with your favorite animal. All right, so this is why the Nobel Prize is going to, I'm going to say Texas State. Prior studies suggested that women do judge a potential male partner based on whether he has pets. By the way, I would insert in here the biggest and most important variable has been left out of all of this. But that's just me. Maybe that's another study. I don't think you'll get a grant for that one. You might get a grant for studying men posing with cats. Think of the one element left out of this that might matter more. Cat or no cat. Okay, it says women do judge a potential male partner based on whether he has a pet. Well, that makes perfect sense. I mean, you know my rule. I mean, I think the fundamental rule for all people is if you don't like dogs, you suck. You just suck as a person. Get out of here. I mean, that's easy, right? While they favor men with dogs, the results showed that they also give men with cats an edge over non-pet owners. Because of this, we reasoned, researchers, that men pictured with cats would probably be viewed as more attractive and desirable than men who didn't pose with any animals. I would say a better study. Men with cats perceived to have greater or less net worth. Do that one. Okay. So here it goes. I don't know if you're going to like the answers. In our study, we recruited 1,388 heterosexual American women. Thank you for that. We told them to take a short anonymous online survey. In the survey, we presented them with the photos of one of two white men, either posing alone or with a cat. To avoid biasing the women's responses, we randomly presented which photo they saw first. Each participant only rated one man with and without a cat. Each time the participant saw a photo, we asked them to rate the man pictured on several personality traits. These include his masculinity, his femininity, his dateability. Of course, I would say you're forgetting wealth, but whatever. I'd say no, I don't care if he's the hunchback. If they thought he was worth enough, he'd get some traffic. We also asked the woman if they define themselves as a cat person, a dog person, neither, or both. I love these pictures. Most of the women found the men holding cats. Are you ready to hand out the Nobel Prize? Are you ready to give the Nobel Prize? Are you ready to shove Moderna right out of the way? Texas State University, it's coming to you. Most of the women found men holding cats to be less dateable. Researchers say this result surprised us since previous studies have shown that women found men with pets to have higher potential as partners. They also thought the men, now let's break it down. There he is. You stop on the profile, he's holding a cat. I think it's a windblown look, kind of glossy photo. Gets worse. Gets worse. They also found that men holding cats were less extroverted and more neurotic, agreeable and open. Importantly, they saw these men as less masculine too. In other words, you're not going to have sex if you hold a cat with someone else. I think that's, you need me to help you out? Does I need to help out a little bit here? Does anyone need to fill in the blanks here for Texas State? They're trying to be all scientific. What this means is you're not going to have sex. You're going to be friends. You're going to be pals. Maybe that's okay. Not judging here. I have no right to lecture anyone on relationships by any stretch. That's kind of is it allowed to study? Does anyone want to do it? I don't think you do. I don't think anybody at Texas State, once they get this Nobel Prize, I don't think anyone's going to study the other side of this. And that is, what do men think of women with cats? Do you think they care? Do you think men are going to find them less dateable, more neurotic? Do you think that's going to matter? Prior research suggests that women often seek masculine men, both in terms of physical appearance and behaviors. Wait, where's net worth? Is that in here anywhere? No? Prior research suggests that women often seek masculine men, both in terms of physical appearance and behaviors. So the fact that women in our study found the photo of the man alone more masculine and more dateable supports the idea that women are likely to look first for clues related to masculinity when determining dateability. Are you sure they're looking at net worth isn't in there? You sure? Past research suggests that the male femininity and homosexuality are still perceived to be connected, since cats are sometimes, don't shoot the messenger here, sometimes associated with more closely with female owners and therefore considered a feminine pet. Posing with cats may have primed the women taking our survey to default to this outdated trope, despite some popular media efforts to elevate the status of male cat owners. What the hell is that? You don't want to say it, do you? They're going to be friends. You have a cat, you're going to be friends. Cat friends. The perception of male cat owners as less extroverted and more neurotic, agreeable and open may have nudged our respondents to put these men in the friend zone. Friend zone is code for no sex. Got it? Is anyone confused? It's important to note that whether the women identify themselves as cat people, dog people, both, or neither affected their perceptions. This is my favorite part. This is a new and growing area of research. No, it's not. Wait, really? This is why. Wait, son, you're going to college for what? A new and growing area of research, or the lack of sex for men with pictures of their cats? Okay, that's going to take you places. It's only one of a handful of potential studies on the relationship between pet ownership and first impressions on dating apps. This means we have our work cut out for us. Oh, great work, Doctor. 2021 Nobel Prize. Let me think about something here. You can play this out, do with it whatever you want. Not necessarily judging. I'm just laughing at this. But so if we wanted to really do a study, if we got the Jeff grant in aid, and you can publish the paper or you can just sort of do a podcast on it. I don't care. So you have this group of men in dating, and we're studying this. Remember the days, I assume you still have to do this, when you take those entry-level psychology classes, part of the psychology classes are you have to sign up, like outside the auditorium. You got to sign up for 2 or 3 studies and experiments because somebody needs to get a paper. They need to write a thesis. So you show up hungover and you do these studies. But here's the one. You've got a windblown, like the dating app photos with the men and cats. They're very glossy and very windblown. It looks like they did it at JCPenney or something. Got that blue background. So you've got the windblown, glossy photo of a man with a cat. There's one. You judge these. Remember, what is it they say? Femininity, masculinity, dateability. I would say sex or no sex. Make out or let's just say make out. Let's just be cheesy. So you've got one photo, glossy photo, the guy with a cat. You've got the same photo, windblown look, glossy photo, the wind's blowing, got the blue background, and guy's holding a white poodle. Okay, he's got like every one of these, right? If you can see this picture, just... Okay, so here's the next one. Follow me here. I'm on to something. I got Texas State. We got more money coming your way. Guy holding a poodle. One guy holding a cat. Let's have the same guy. Pretty good looking guy. Very, very supple skin. Blue background. So you got cat. Now we got a white poodle. A photo. And then we have all these photos we're asking women to judge. You don't say, would you have sex with him? I mean, don't do that. We'll just infer. A photo of a man in front of a Planet K video store. A Star Trek shirt. Okay, so that's your third. Oh, he's got skinny jeans and Chuck Taylors. Then, the fourth, I'm not even going to include the guy with the Labrador at the hike and bike trail. Okay, that's it. Or maybe just show the hunchback in front of an expensive car. Let's see who wins. But we're not going to do that. So we got cat picture. We got white poodle picture. We got the guy in front of a Planet K video store in a Star Trek shirt. Then we have a guy, I'm making this up now. We have a guy in front of Barton Springs sign, where the entrance to Barton Springs. You got the guy in front of the Barton Springs entrance. This guy's a little pudgy, wearing a black t-shirt, and he's holding a boa constrictor. There. Black t-shirt, boa constrictor, a little soft and chubby, doesn't look as if he's bathed. Of the 4, did I give you 4? Of the 4, forget the hunchback with the money. Forget the dude with the shirt off at the hike and bike trail. Forget them. Of the 4, which is most desirable? Hey, every guy can relate to this. You're tired of wearing those baggy cotton shirts that feel like you're wearing curtains. There's a difference. In fact, I'm wearing the difference. That is the ultra premium basics from goodlifeclothing.com. You'll love the shirts. I've been searching for a long time, like every guy, for the perfect lightweight shirt that looks good if you're in pretty good shape. It's at goodlifeclothing.com. Check them out. You'll see the difference for yourself. You'll feel the difference for yourself. It's the perfect shirt for this time of year in Austin, Texas. So 2 things. Go to goodlifeclothing.com. You get a 20% discount if you enter the promo code JeffWard20. That's goodlifeclothing.com. Enter the promo code JeffWard20 or stop by their store domain Northside. You'll love the difference. You'll feel the difference. It's the perfect fit for a guy that's in good shape. It's goodlifeclothing.com, promo code JeffWard20, or stop by their brand new store at Domain Northside. What is more tiresome? What a way to start a show, right? Saying how lame things are. But what is more tiresome? Stories about people moving to Austin, or the 4 or 5 of us, I've lost count. I think one of us died. So that number is probably the 4 of us actually from Austin complaining about the people moving to Austin. Which one of those things is more tiresome? So here it goes again. I think we're all running out of steam. We're running out of energy. We're running out of stories to tell, but this one's pretty good. You know what? I think a lot of people, this is coming from an Austinite. This is the, why don't you guys just shut up and stop whining about the city? This is one of those times. I think the vision, if you like to try to summarize the vision people have, I think they think, I'm saying they are the people that have moved here, the 99.96% of you that have moved here in the past, 3 or 4 or 5 years. I think you think what makes it cool is getting out of your Tesla in flip-flops. Like that's what this place is so outrageous and wild, man. I wear my flip-flops and get out of my Tesla. That's what I think people think is now cool. Some of us had a vision of Austin, people chaining themselves to trees, a Liberty lunch with everyone shirtless and throwing up on themselves. We had a little bit different vision of cool Austin. I think when you hear this, I think you might come away with your own sort of sketch of what people think is cool. And frankly, compared to where they've come from, getting out of your Tesla and flip-flops is pretty outrageous and cool. So here it goes. I'll put on my no longer $7 glasses, and I'll read from the Hollywood Reporter. The Hollywood Reporter, I would say, is sort of the Wall Street Journal of the entertainment and media industries. It's very well done, very well respected, very thorough. And of course, I didn't go searching the Hollywood Reporter for this. This story was plastered all over news sites. Here it goes. How Austin has undergone a pandemic influx from Hollywood. Growth on a turbocharger is what it's called. This isn't just one of these, wow, look how much it's grown. This is one particular subset of look how it's grown. It says, as stars like Stephen Amell and Zachary Levi, I got to be honest with you, I don't know who anybody is in the story. That's how out of touch I am. So I'm going to assume everyone else knows and every one of these people are famous, and I'm going to screw up their names because I don't know. As stars like Stephen Amell and Zachary Levi flock to the Texas Capitol, median home prices have risen a stunning 43% in 1 year in the cool, friendly city. I've just been waiting for the secret to get out, says Matthew McConaughey. It's absolutely insane, marvels Jared Padalecki. It's like nothing I've ever seen. It's growth and expansion on a turbocharger. You're just going like, whoa. Yeah, whoa. Who are you? The Texas Capitol has undergone a pandemic influx unlike anywhere else in the country, thanks to a flood of invading tech companies, along with quarantine-exhausted remote working transplants from major cities seeking a lifestyle upgrade, including some notable actors like Padalecki, an Austin resident since 2010, suddenly decided the Texas Hill Country was more alluring than the Hollywood Hills. Yeah. Elon Musk might have called it. Musk declared in February, Austin's own Elon Musk and baby Pi R Square and his rock and roll wife, girlfriend, friend. Musk declared in February that the city is going to be the biggest boom town America has seen in 50 years. Natives counter, that's us, that's 4 of us. Natives counter that Austin has been booming to at least some degree since the 1990s when Silicon Valley companies first began adding Austin offices and the town began regularly topping the best cities to live list. Blah, blah, blah. I know you're thinking blah, blah, blah. Hang on a second. This is what they all start telling us what they think is cool. That's when I've arrived at this place that says to them, getting out of your Tesla and flip-flops, and shorts and flip-flops is really cool. That's zany. It's wild. Cutting edge. Man, what a counterculture city that is. Yet even those accustomed to Austin's growing pains have been stunned by the pandemic's fallout, which rocketed housing prices by 43% in 1 year, the steepest climb of any major metro area in the entire country. During the first half of the year, I don't know how many of you have heard this number before, but this is a credible source. During the first half of the year, 1,440 Austin area houses sold for more than $100,000 over the asking price. That number is probably 3,000 now. The market is so crazy. Our house was bought in the fall. Is already worth so much more than we purchased it for, says actor in LA to Austin transplant Becca Tobin. Hey, Becca. Whatever she does. It's like, do we turn around and sell the house again? Well, welcome to the club there, Becca. You now know what everybody that lives here, and has been living here, has been saying for some time. What do? We're going to sell, sell, sell. Oh my God, we got to move to Waco. Yeah, welcome. Matthew McConaughey, of course, he had to be quoted in this, who's evolved into an unofficial Austin brand ambassador and, in parentheses, many hope, a Texas gubernatorial candidate challenging Republican incumbent Greg Abbott in 2022. By the way, what's happened with that? Wooderson, are you in? You kind of need to get going, right? I mean, Greg Abbott is getting Fox News clickbait, and Wooderson has been laying pretty low. He says, we don't have a landmark like Niagara Falls or Disney World or the Eiffel Tower. They're all coming here for the vibe. We've got people. Now, let me explain that in a couple of parts. But yeah, sure. Influential newcomer Joe Rogan, who shifted his massively popular Spotify podcast from LA and uses his platform to regularly talk about Central Texas, says, quote, I've never felt more at home. I effing love it here. It's too good. You think you know what city life is, and then you come here and it's the most of the good stuff and very little of the bad stuff. It's a utopian-sized city with great values, really friendly people, amazing restaurants, and an amazing art scene. Rogan's Pied Piper call has drawn other comics to town, including Tony Hinchcliffe and Tom Segura, and he's announcing plans to open a comedy club, Hollywood Reporter reporting, near Austin's posh Westlake suburb. Austin easily could be the center of comedy, he says. Comedy doesn't need show business anymore. 10 friends have moved here in the last year, and they continue to pile up. Then the Hollywood Reporter goes on to say, and I'll clarify all of this, and I'll give you the reasons, and I'll tell you the problem. It remains to be seen whether the pandemic-inspired creative community boom continues as the coast return to normal. At least one recent transplant declared that his move to Austin was a mistake. It's not a world-class city, griped comedian Tim Dillon to his podcast listeners. The city of Austin, Texas is a city for artists who have left New York or LA and have never figured out a way to make their art commercially viable. It's been forever a community of sloth-like people. Joe Rogan can walk around and say, why don't you write more? Shouldn't you work out? They're losers to the bone. Well, thank you for that, Tim. Okay. We have to watch, this is McConaughey now, this is the important part for the 4 people, one died, 4 people from Austin. We have to watch in Austin is the preservation of our DNA. I've talked to quite a few people before and since they've come here. And the 2 words I hear over and over again are hospitality and optimism. So my line has been, don't turn here into why you left there. Our challenge is going to be how we handle this great influx. If any place has an identity and the soul that we need to preserve, it's Austin. So keep that in mind, that DNA thing. The unwritten motto of Austin has been to keep Austin weird, says Becca Tobin of Glee. Is that still a show? Okay, so you don't want to do a show where you read stuff from other people, but it was kind of interesting. All right, the main reasons for the boom. Let's do this, and I think it's tiresome, and I think we're probably just about done with it. 1, money and talented people follow money and other talented people. That's plainly obvious. That's step 1. That is precisely what has happened. Okay? 2, I do think Rogan's comments are mostly right. I hear this a lot from people when you finally tell them, hey, I'm from Austin, and you're a unicorn to them. They don't know anybody from Austin. They say the same thing every time. Gosh, I've never actually met anyone from here. And then I find somebody who's just brutally honest, sort of like what McConaughey said. It was a little dramatic as usual. Well, we don't have an Eiffel Tower. It's true. I mean, some people would say, gosh, there's other cities with a better restaurant scene. There's other cities with a better art scene. The lake's cool and stuff, but I don't really get it. And I think what Rogan said is exactly right. But step 1 is step 1. And whether it's technology, entertainment, it's the same thing that's been happening. It is the very thing that has killed the DNA. And that is, remember, money and talented people following more money, and more talented people. I don't care whatever field it is. That's what's happening. But Rogan's comment, I think, is mostly right. It is a big city. And I think Austinites fall into a trap where we complain about a lot of stuff, but we're complaining from our perspective, and they're looking at it from a completely different perspective. They're comparing it to where they've come from, right? If you come from Plano, this is the coolest place on the planet because you live in nothing but a strip center, right? So Rogan's comment, I think, is right. It's a big city. This is my answer, sort of justifying where he was coming from. It's a big city with very few big city problems. I mean, our problems, when you really break it down and you look at the rest of the country, our problems are a fraction of what you get in other cities. Traffic, crime, homelessness, they're problems, and they're increasing problems for those of us because we compare it to the way things were. We're always stuck in this position of comparing things to the way they were. We here keep things weird, and we're comparing it to, when it was really weird. They're comparing it, again, to Plano or Los Angeles, where nothing is weird. It's just plastic. But our traffic and crime and homelessness is a fraction of where they're coming from. I mean, that's the reality. I mean, I think that's where we get lost in this argument about, well, boy, we've got more murders. Yeah, well, to somebody from the Northeast, it's nothing. Number 3, yes. It's true, it's cooler than most places. There are eclectic pockets and eclectic people. Here comes the but. So those are the 3 reasons why I think most of us get that it's boomed. I think everybody in the article is probably right about why it's booming. I think, they've got that right. What is missing, of course, is McConaughey's comment about the DNA. Here's the but. It's those things that I just said, the eclectic part is shrinking rapidly. The very people saying that we need to keep our DNA are the very people that are killing the DNA or have killed the DNA. Perfect example. I think I've told the story a few times. And maybe every now and then somebody ought to ask an Austinite. But I remember this one particular moment. It was during the downtown boom of condo towers. We've had periods of boom and bust. It's just been a trajectory of boom for a long time. As somebody said, now it's on steroids. But I remember this one moment that if you're from here, you thought it just didn't add up. You talk about DNA, this is something you never would have heard. And that was, there was a lawsuit. Condo tower residents, their association, whoever it is, were complaining because they live downtown and the music was too loud. And they won. And I remember the day that they won, and I thought, I can't believe that just happened. Somebody moved next to a club and complained about the music at the club, and they won. I'm not saying it's the reason why music was killed off. Music has been killed off largely for many reasons. But that is kind of one of those moments when I thought, wow, there goes the soul right there. Turn it down at 10? That would have been laughable to most of us growing up. So that the day that happened was like you could just track more of that stuff happening. And it's, you can't stop it now. But it is ironic that the people complaining about the DNA saying, oh my gosh, we're going to preserve that DNA, are the very reason it was killed off. You don't even know the DNA is what most of us, well, the 4 of us that are still left. The other thing that is unsaid and unwritten and uncomfortable and awkward, it's you talk about the DNA of the city in most big cities, but we are now more strip center than ever. We are more master planned than ever. And the pockets of cool places are shrinking. Again, Austinites don't measure cool by what you wear when you go to the coffee shop getting out of your Tesla. That's not exactly what we had in mind. But we are the least diverse big city. Austin has never been, no one likes to acknowledge this, Austin's never been a diverse city, but there were least cool ethnic pockets of neighborhoods. The suburbs, you could argue, are far more diverse than Austin is now. And it's virtually, I don't even think I'm that wrong. It doesn't just look this way. It is this way. It's virtually nothing but smart, well-off white people from other parts of the country. There are no neighborhoods. We didn't have a whole lot before, but there certainly don't exist now. There's really not those ethnic pockets that there used to be. And those have just been killed off because everybody that's here and everybody moving here looks and does the same stuff. The art and music scene in the hippie class, to the point, and I give this speech probably twice a week, the art in the hippie class, the music and hippie class has been pushed out. That's the DNA, and there's nothing to do about it. There's nothing to stop it. There's no one is going to stop it until somebody decides, well, it's too expensive or somewhere else is cooler. Then there'll be that boom and bust, but it's a long way off. But you got to be realistic that whole art and hippie class that sort of made it so-called weird has been shoved out. Where is that? I defy someone to find the art, music, and hippie class anymore. You used to be able to go to a street and you could find it. You used to be able to go to a certain neighborhood, you could find it. Go to a club and you could find it. You couldn't find that now. Everyone's getting out of a Tesla and flip-flops. That's the definition. I know it's tiresome, but every now and then somebody might point out, and I think McConaughey's use of the DNA of the city is kind of cool. I don't think anything anyone said in there is necessarily incorrect. It's all pretty much right. It's just the irony of sitting back listening to people talk about the soul of the city when it's the people moving here that have ripped the soul of the city. They didn't mean to. They honestly think they're cool. They honestly think, and it is different from where they came from. And it is. That's how lame everywhere else is. Remember the story when you're growing up for the four of us? There was five and that person died. But when you were growing up, the story was everybody from Houston would try to come here to go to school and try not to leave because Houston sucks. It's kind of the same thing now for the entire country.
From the Hot Pie Media Studios in Austin, Texas, it's the Jeff Ward Show. Listen at jeffwardshow.com.